شبکه دیدبان.
Hello everyone. Have you ever purchased a new Wi-Fi router and you notice that the router has both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz frequency bands? Or maybe your existing router has both of them. And did you ever wonder why some routers have these dual bands? So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Now, a frequency band is how wireless data is transmitted between devices. These bands are radio waves that carry the data, and these bands are either 2.4 GHz or 5 GHz. Now, a lot of Wi-Fi routers will only transmit one of these bands, which would be the 2.4 band, and that's because it's the most common frequency. And these are called single-band routers. But a lot of newer Wi-Fi routers will transmit both the 2.4 and 5 GHz bands, and these are called dual-band Wi-Fi routers. Now, the 2.4 band works pretty well. It's the standard band. But the problem is that it's not just a standard band that's used in Wi-Fi routers. It's also the standard band that's used in a lot of other devices. Things like microwave ovens, cordless phones, Bluetooth devices, and wireless cameras all use the 2.4 GHz band. And this became a problem because the fact that so many other devices use the 2.4 band, the signal became overcrowded and was causing a lot of interference with Wi-Fi signals. And when this happens, it slows down the Wi-Fi network speed and sometimes could cause you to lose connection to the Wi-Fi router. So that is why the 5 GHz band was added. The 5 GHz band is a newer band, and so it's not as commonly used as the 2.4, so it's used by fewer devices. And because it's used by fewer devices, the 5 GHz is not as crowded, so there is no interference or minimal interference. So using the 5 GHz would relieve the problem related to slow network speeds and connection drops that would be caused by interference from other devices. Another reason why the 2.4 is more vulnerable to interference is because of the difference in wireless channels. Now, if you're not familiar with what a wireless channel is just a way to fine-tune and alter a frequency. Sometimes you might need to change to a different channel if you are experiencing interference from different wireless devices, and changing to a different channel will give you that ability. The 2.4 GHz band has 11 channels to choose from, but of these 11 channels, only 3 are non-overlapping. So basically you have 3 solid channels to choose from. But the 5 GHz has more channels. It has 25 non-overlapping channels. And some other differences between the 2.4 and 5 GHz band is the speed and the range that they cover. The 2.4 GHz band transmits data at a slower speed than the 5 GHz, but it does have a longer range than the 5 GHz. The 5 GHz band transmits data at a faster speed than the 2.4, but it has a shorter range. The 5 GHz has a shorter range because it has a higher frequency, and higher frequencies have a harder time penetrating solid objects, such as floors and walls in a building. So as you can see on this illustration, this dual-band Wi-Fi router is broadcasting a 2.4 GHz band, which is the green color, and it's also broadcasting a 5 GHz band, which is the red color. So as you can see, the 2.4 band has a longer range and the signal can cover most of this building. And it can also penetrate the second floor and the walls. But the 5 GHz band has a shorter range. The signal doesn't penetrate the second floor or the walls, which limits its range inside a building. So the question is, which band do you want to actually use? And that really depends on your situation. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of the 2.4 GHz is that it has a farther range and it can penetrate solid objects better. However, the disadvantage that it has is that it's more vulnerable to interference because so many other devices use the same band, and it's also slower than the 5 GHz. And the advantage of the 5 GHz is that it has a higher transfer speed and it's less vulnerable to interference. But at the same time, it does have a shorter range and it has a harder time penetrating through solid objects. And if you're interested in getting a dual-band Wi-Fi router, I'll put a link in the description of this video below of a dual-band Wi-Fi router that I personally recommend. And thank you for watching.